episode of... You guys hear that? Something fishy is going on here. That's right, folks. Strap yourselves in because we're here for another aquatic episode of Cooking Corner with me, Giuseppe CrimiVaroli. Today for you, I'm going to be making salmon tacos with an avocado cream sauce. Now, in terms of ingredients, you're going to need the following. You're going to need some cumin. You're going to need chili powder, garlic powder, and paprika. You're going to need some olive oil and some butter. You're going to need some Greek yogurt. You're going to need 1 or 2 ripe avocados. You're going to need 2 limes, a bushel of cilantro, some taco shells, and of course, 1 pound of salmon. Now, in terms of hardware, you're going to want the following. You're going to want a blender, a large container big enough to hold all of your salmon. You're going to want a measuring cup and some measuring spoons, as well as a small bowl. You're going to want some tongs, better make sure they work first, a sharp knife, and a skillet. As always, step number 1 is going to be wash your hands. Go ahead, turn the water on, get your hands nice and wet. Once your hands are nice and wet, put some soap on them. 2 squirts is my preference. Once you've got your soap in your hand, rub it all around. Get on the back of the knuckles, get in between the fingers. Once your hands are nice and soapy, stick them back under the water and wash off all that soap. Once you convince your hands are clean, you can turn the water off, but there's no need to dry them. So as not to spook the fish, we're going to approach them in a familiar manner, soaking wet. Moving on to step number 2, and step number 2 is going to be brine your fish. Now, what you're going to need to do is take your large container for all of your fish and add 4 cups of room temperature water and 3 tablespoons of salt. You'll then mix that together until fully combined and let the fish soak in it for 15 minutes. Once you've got your bucket of salt water, reintroduce your salmon to its home. Go ahead, grab your salmon, and re-add it to the salt water. Now we're going to let that sit for 15 minutes. Moving on to step number 3. Step number 3 is going to be make your avocado cream sauce. Now, what you're going to need to do is add into this blender a half cup of Greek yogurt, 3 tablespoons of fresh lime juice, 2 handfuls of cilantro, stem and all, and 2 ripe small avocados or 1 ripe large avocado. So go ahead and add your avocados now. Once you've got all of your ingredients in your blender, you can turn it on and blend until it's smooth. Still not there. Now, if you have some bits of avocado or something floating at the top, you can just take a knife and push them down to the bottom and keep blending.
Peek.
Starting to get there, we're almost there. When you're all done, you should have a nice little bowl of avocado cream sauce. Moving right along to step number 4, and step number 4 is going to be season your salmon. So go ahead, reach your mitt right in the water, pull the salmon out and put it on a paper towel covered plate. Then, using other paper towels, pat the salmon dry. Now we're going to leave the salmon there for a minute while we make our spice mixture. For seasoning your salmon, you're going to need to combine the following spices. You're going to need a tablespoon of cumin, and a teaspoon each of paprika, chili powder, and garlic powder. Then you can mix those spices together and coat your fish. Now it's time to coat your salmon in your spices. To do that, you just need to hit the salmon with a drizzle of olive oil and then rub your spices into it. So go ahead, get your olive oil and just hit the salmon with a light drizzle. Now that you've got yourself an oily fish, it's time to rub in all of your spices. So go ahead, take your spice mix, sprinkle it over the top, and massage it in. Now that your salmon is spicy, it's time to move on to the next step. Moving on to step number 5. And step number 5 is going to be sear your salmon skin side up. So go ahead and melt 1 tablespoon of butter and 1 tablespoon of olive oil in your pan over medium to high heat. Once your butter is melted, you're going to add your salmon skin side up into the pan. You're going to cook it on medium to high heat until it's cooked about halfway through, somewhere between 2 and 3 minutes. Once your salmon has been cooked halfway through, you can flip it onto the other side and start spooning the sauces back onto the salmon. This technique is called basting.
Flawless.
Now that you've flipped the salmon over, reintroduce some sauce, and it's had some time to cook through, it's time to take the salmon off of the heat and let it rest on a plate for 5 minutes. So go ahead, turn your stove off, and transfer your salmon to a plate. Once you've let your salmon rest for 5 minutes, it's time to move on to the next step. Step number 6 is going to be shred your salmon. So, grab yourself 2 forks and get to shredding that salmon. Go ahead, stick the fork in and start pulling along the grain of the salmon. Once your salmon is all shredded, you can move on to the final step. And the final step is going to be assemble and plate your tacos. So what I've got here are 3 taco shells that I microwave for 10 seconds to soften them up. And what we're going to do is just add some of our salmon to each taco shell. Then we can top each salmon taco with a little dollop of our avocado cream sauce. and you're ready to enjoy. Now, importantly, this is just a basis for a salmon taco. You can dress it up however you please. You can hit it with beans, rice, cheese, pico de gallo, throw the works at it if you want. But this is just a basic salmon taco. That being said, it's time for a taste test. Taco right there. That was delicious! Bye-bye now.